Penny for the thoughts of Callum Hudson-Odoi as well, who actually makes his first start since the 1st of February, because of course in March he himself had the virus, and thankfully he was able to recover. He's also missed a large chunk of the season through a thigh injury, but he is drafted into this side, and he starts alongside Tammy Abraham up front, as Chelsea are in the all-royal blue, the royal blue shirts and shorts and the white socks, against a Bayern Munich side in their all-red. And Bayern Munich, therefore, are playing from right to left as we look. And the referee is Ovidiu Hasegan, who is from Romania. But just to put it into perspective, Bayern Munich have never lost by a 3-goal margin against an English side. The last 3-0 defeat that they suffered was Borussia Mönchengladbach in October 2018. So they've had 39 home games since then, and they've only lost 3. 2 of them have been 2-1 defeats, and then of course Liverpool, who in the Champions League last season beat them by 3-1. So Bayern Munich very rarely stumble, and well, unerring is their form of late. Since the restart, they've won all 11, and they'll be looking to try and maintain that groove, although, as you say, they haven't had too many games since they beat Bayer Leverkusen in the German Cup final, just that one game against Marseille. But their eyes are very much on the prize of the Champions League, as they were when they played Chelsea inside the Allianz Arena in 2012, and who will ever forget that banner as the two teams came out down the touch line, the tunnel towards the right, and it said "Our City, Our Stadium, Our Cup," as Bayern are already on the attack, and straight away they will win a corner on that far side, as Gnabry was looking for a little bit of leeway, and Chelsea find themselves inside the opening 2 minutes on the back foot. Rob Green.
Yeah, the combination between Gnabry and Kimmich there, creating the space down the wing, allowing him to get to the byline, looking for the cutback, blocks out by the Chelsea defence, but already under pressure.
Kimmich to take the corner kick right hand side. It'll be an outswinger, headed away by Zuma and helped further clear, and then the shot is fired in from distance, and that goes wide for a goal kick that Caballero will look to take. It was worth a try from David Alaba. He scored a couple of goals this season, as Chelsea will play out from the back. Kovacic, Reece James, the right back, hits it right-footed downfield. Abraham will give chase. In fact, if you recall, Rob, when we covered Chelsea in the Mestalla Stadium against Valencia back in the group stages, Tammy Abraham the night before did the press conference, and one of the questions was that, you know, he's still yet to score on the big stage, and he was aware of it. It's something that he's got to try and improve his game, scoring in the big matches. But you look at his form, I mean, then he was free scoring as well, 14 in 17 in 2019 in the first stage of this season, but he's only scored 3 in 19 games since the turn of the year in 2020. It would be the perfect stage for him to try and rectify that tonight. Yeah,
it's a great opportunity for him, and you think if it was a game which Frank maybe thought that Chelsea would have more of a chance in, they would be playing Oli Giroud. They started with Oli in the cup final. He's been the form striker, he's been scoring goals. Tammy out of form in front of goal, and he's a young lad, he's inconsistent. He had a wonderful season last season with Aston Villa. You know, at the start of the season he was flying and really, you know, going great guns with goals and performances, and it just dried up for him. And that's what happens with young players. Frank's been managing these young guys really, really well, just pulled him out the team. It's probably maybe seen something in training, maybe seen just to give him an opportunity, and tonight could be his night.
The former England goalkeeper Rob Green, who knows so many of these Chelsea players so well. That was an early kick-off that night at the Mestalla, and while we were waiting for another hit for Radio 5 Live a little bit later on into the Spanish evening, Rob ventured down those long towering steps amongst all the seeds that had been eaten from the Valencia supporters in front of us, which is always the norm when you go to Spanish football, to have a word with some of the Chelsea players. But here they are, trying to keep out this free-scoring Bayern Munich side, and well, they've scored 100 goals in the Bundesliga, which was actually one short of their own record in 71-72. It will be a tall order not only to beat this Bayern Munich side, but just to even keep them in a clean sheet for Caballero, as Davies is forward, and he plays a great ball in first time from the left. Gnabry will keep it in play over on that far side, and all of a sudden Gnabry one touch too many, and Emerson left-footed puts it out of play for a throw for Bayern Munich. 0-0, 5 live.
There's the strengths of Bayern Munich, isn't it? It's the fullbacks bombing on. It's such quality from Davies. He picks out the man Lewandowski, who just can't make it in time, and it's a wonderful ball across that Chelsea back four. The warning signs are there that Bayern Munich's so comfortable on the ball, they're looking so strong, and when they lose it, they're pressing. They're putting this Chelsea team under pressure. So far, the whole of the game's been played in this Chelsea half.
Bayern Munich, all in red, playing from right to left, 0-0, 5.5 minutes played. And Kimmich, who is so versatile, he's played the majority of this season in the defensive midfielder role, but a couple of times he's played as a central defender, and this is actually his 12th appearance as the right back. But the German, who seems to have been around for ages, he's still only 25, playing as the right back, as Kante making a welcome return. He was on the bench. He'd missed the previous 6 games before his appearance on the bench in the cup final last week with a hamstring injury. Plays the ball out towards Hudson-Odoi, who had been long touted for a move to Bayern Munich, helped out by Reece James. Reece James keeps the ball in play and goes back just short of the halfway line. Christensen infield to Zuma, and Chelsea now coming and seeing a lot more of the ball as it's still goalless. Mount gets a little touch there as well. Kante will come under pressure from the pressing of the red shirts of Bayern Munich, and Chelsea being forced back, and Reece James actually hits it with a left-footed ball, but coming back from an offside position was Tammy Abraham, and that will be a free kick to Bayern Munich.
I mean, it's wonderful defend. I know, and it looks really basic from Bayern Munich, but they're so in sync with each other. When they press, one man goes and the other one's waiting, and it's so hard to play.
Ball played forward. Lewandowski looks to go around Caballero, and Caballero has caught Lewandowski, has he? No, the flag was up on the far side, and he was offside, was Lewandowski. I think our Romanian referee was about to award a penalty, but he was just offside.
It's wonderful play by Bayern Munich, finding the space, finding the pocket in between the defence and midfield. Lewandowski making that run. It was a penalty. Lewandowski watched where Willy Caballero came out, knew he was coming down, nicked the ball around him, went down for the penalty, but just offside. But there's the threat. You've got the width, you've got the pace from the wide men. These fullbacks who were wingers, that's how they recruit them. They find wingers and bring them back to be fullbacks, looking to push on. I think there's a booking now for Willy Caballero for time wasting.
I think what they've done, they've checked it with VAR. Caballero has been shown the yellow card, and the penalty has been awarded. Caballero's having a word with Muller at the minute. It did look very, very tight. So after VAR, the linesman on that far side has been overruled, and Lewandowski picks the ball up, and he is, well, let's put it this way, in his last 21 matches he's failed to score just 3 occasions. He's scored 24 goals in those 21 games, and now Lewandowski, with this penalty inside 9 minutes, has a chance against Caballero, who has a reputation for saving penalties. It's Lewandowski who got the 3rd at Stamford Bridge back in February with the penalty. The Romanian referee having a strict word with Caballero. He will not want him to encroach. You're going to see a lot more of that. These are the new guidelines. Goalkeepers not allowed to move off their line. They're going to be really, really clamping down on FIFA, as Lewandowski still waits for the referee's whistle. Bayern 0, Chelsea 0. And here comes the free scoring Lewandowski, and he scores. Caballero went the right way, diving to his left, but it went high above the Argentine, and Bayern get the opening goal, and faint hope extinguished for Chelsea as Bayern Munich lead by a goal to 0.
A brilliant penalty, amazing penalty for Lewandowski, watching Willy Caballero, and it didn't matter if he was watching it because he put it in the top corner. Just seeing the replays, it's a great through ball. Lewandowski, wonderful technician, very clever runner. nicks it past Caballero, who's gone down, looking at the penalty now, doesn't look at the ball once on his run-up, steps up to the penalty. He must have practiced that a million times, hits the side netting, into the side netting. Caballero, no chance. If it was a mountain to climb before now, I mean, they've just taken away the arms and the legs of the Chelsea players, because they haven't got a prayer now.
No, Bayern 1, Chelsea 0, and for Lewandowski, he was joint fourth previous to that goal in the all-time Champions League and European goal-scoring lists, as Bayern let one fly from long range, and that was from Gnabry, saved by Caballero. But he was level with Benzema, but now with his 65th goal, he moves within sight of Raul on 71, Messi 114. What is completely mad, before tonight Lewandowski 64, Ronaldo double the amount of goals even that somebody like Lewandowski has scored in this competition, which is absolutely staggering. But for Lewandowski, 65 goals in 87 games in the Europe's elite competition. That's not too shabby, is it?
You'd take it, wouldn't you? I mean, it was Gnabry creating it again, and it's the movement that they're coming up with, this Bayern Munich team. They're so strong, they're so quick off the ball, they're so clever when they get it, and they know where these players are going to go, they know the runs they're going to make, and they're looking for them, and they've got the ability to find them.
Talking of Lewandowski, 243 goals in his 284th appearance for Bayern Munich. I mean, the man is just a machine. And for Chelsea, well, it's the worst possible start. As you say, it was a lovely ball through for Lewandowski. Caballero thought he'd been saved by the assistant referee, but after VAR, the penalty was awarded, and Bayern Munich lead Chelsea by 1-0, which means that Chelsea now are 4-0 down on aggregate. And well, you think of Ajax against Real Madrid last year. They're going to have to produce some sort of a scoreline that Ajax did when they were 2-1 down from the first leg, and won 4-1 in the Bernabeu. But it ain't going to happen.
If they do score the 4 goals, they go through on away goals.
Yeah,
right, okay, yep.
Yeah, but it was always, as you say, it was going to be a tall order even before conceding that goal. But they will still try and battle on valiantly. But for Bayern Munich, that was the goal that Hansi Flick would have wanted, and I'm sure that would have been the message. Let's go out and put this tie to bed straight away.
Yeah, they've done that now, haven't they? And they can work towards Lisbon. They've got a bigger prize. They've got the next round. They're looking towards working on the team shape, working on a unit that will be eyeing up the other tie tonight, the Barcelona game against Napoli, to say, well, who are we going to be playing? What is it going to be like? Let's practice for that. For this Chelsea team, it's a learning curve. It's one that this is what the stage that they want to be on. This is what Chelsea do. They play on this stage and compete at higher levels than this.
Mason Mount looking for the run of Abraham. That was headed away by Alaba at the heart of the Bayern Munich defence, as Chelsea in this first half are playing from left to right, but trailing by 1-0 through that Lewandowski penalty, his 52nd goal of the season, and in his 44th appearance. As Davis high up the pitch on the left-hand side, Davis inside, Müller will shoot, and Müller with a right-footed shot, quite central, edge of the area, over the top, and that was going to be a goal kick. Bayern still lead by 1-0. The winners, of course, of this, which is going to be Bayern Munich, will take on either Barcelona or Napoli. And there's been a goal at the Nou Camp. Rob Schofield watching.
9 minutes gone. Barcelona 1, Napoli 0. It was Clement Lenglet unopposed, heading in at a corner. Only his second ever goal in Europe. Barcelona lead 1-0 at the Nou Camp, 2-1 on aggregate. They've ridden their luck one end, but they've scored at the other.
Formerly of Sevilla, who take on Wolves on Tuesday night. We've got more football for you at the start of next week. Manchester United, Copenhagen in the Europa League quarter-finals. Tuesday night, Wolves against Sevilla. And then next Friday, well, looks like it's going to be Bayern against Barca. We'll be live on 5 Live on the Friday, followed by Manchester City, who may well be England's sole representative in the Champions League, against Lyon next Saturday night, as the European campaign comes to a close, being played in Germany for the Europa League and Portugal for the Champions League. Bayern Munich leading by a goal to nil. Davis, the left back, caught there by Kante, and the assistant on the near side raises his flag. Davis felt the effects there from N'Golo Kante, the Chelsea captain, and that'll be a free kick. Rob Green.
Bayern Munich so impressive in their defence. They're so aggressive. They're so much on the front foot when Chelsea have got the ball, that they press and they go. And I was saying before, they go in succession and they know when the other player's going. And what they have behind them, they've got a really high press from the defence, and behind that, they've got the best sweeper keeper in the world in terms of Manuel Neuer, who stands 30-40 yards out the goal, ready to mop up anything, and he's so confident with his feet, he can deal with it.
Yeah, he's brilliant, is Neuer, as Caballero has to use his feet coming out of the penalty area to clear it long. Chelsea trail by a goal to nil. BBC Radio 5 Live, 16 minutes played in the Allianz Arena, as Bayern Munich with Alaba to Neuer, all in silver, and quickly sweeps it across to Boateng, the former Manchester City player. Kimmich high up the pitch on the right-hand side, and Bayern Munich will come forward. Neuer launching that attack as the ball was played forward, and then Perisic with the cross deep, and the acrobatic efforts coming in on that occasion, but it was, it was Goretzka who fired it in, couldn't get quite over it, and in the end it went high behind Caballero's goal, and it will be a goal kick. But Bayern Munich lead Chelsea by a goal to nil after Caballero beating from the penalty spot by Lewandowski.
I think the Chelsea players now, what they do from it, you learn from this experience, but also you need to be able to talk to each other, talk each other through the games, and having been in situations like this, even if it's down to little things, just say, let's get through the next 5-10 minutes, talk each other through the next 5-10 minutes. We're not going anywhere. We can't do anything about this right now. All we can do is stick together and work really hard. And what you don't need is your partner next to you, your teammate giving up on you. So you just keep cajoling each other through this. Let's just talk each other through this game. Get through to the other side. Let's get through to half-time with it 1-0, maybe nick a goal and get a bit of confidence into the game.
Talking of partners, I might need you to try and help me get through, because something's been bugging me since I mentioned the Mestalla Stadium and those seeds in Valencia. But we'll just watch this latest attack from Bayern Munich. Gnabry plays it in, helped on its way first time from Lewandowski, with a little swish of the right boot. He's saying it came off Christensen, but the referee's overruled him. It'll be a goal kick. So you know that when you walk down from those steep stands in Mestalla Stadium, and you always get, they're not pistachio nuts, are they like pumpkin seeds?
Pass.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, no, I know the ones you mean, and I don't know how they clean them up, but they must be there for weeks and weeks.
Yeah, wherever you go in Spain, they're always the same. I mean, I've been to a lot of stadiums in Spain, and I've had pumpkin seeds coated in vanilla, which are quite nice before, but anyway, it's just been, something's playing at the back of your mind. Bayern Munich lead by a goal to nil, 4-0 on aggregate. BBC Radio 5 Live. Chelsea playing out from the back. Caballero chips it long. Thiago hits it forward for Bayern Munich, and then it goes quite long off the right foot of Thomas Müller. And here is Thiago switching play out towards Davis. Nice control from the Canadian midway through the Chelsea half. Back it goes. Forward. Drop of the shoulder. Thiago then runs into space, and a diagonal ball out towards Kimmich on the right-hand side. Reared up around knee height. Brought it under control, strokes it back. Bayern Munich are in total control, keeping the ball very, very well. And Chelsea at the minute are chasing, just as they were at Stamford Bridge in the first leg.
Tammy Abraham's now dropped into the midfield, so you're playing a flat-back four, but almost six in that midfield, just trying to contain it. But again, Bayern Munich, the full-backs pressing and pushing forwards. Christensen
stooping to head it away from the first-time cross from Gnabry on the right. Kovacic sent off, of course, in the FA Cup final last weekend, looking for Emerson. A rare start for Emerson, who continues to run forward on the left-hand side. but in the end he loses out as Alaba just comes across to cover back to Neuer. Emerson, who it's his first start since the FA Cup quarter-final against Leicester City, only one substitute appearance since then for the Brazilian-born Italian as the left back for Chelsea. 20 minutes played on BBC Radio 5 Live. Bayern Munich leading through that Lewandowski penalty after 9 minutes as they have a 4-0 aggregate lead. And in the other game, Barcelona are leading Napoli in the Nou Camp by a goal to nil. In the earlier games today in the Scottish Premiership, St Johnstone Aberdeen of course postponed. Ross County made it 2 wins out of 2. They won away at Hamilton by a goal to nil. Hibs also 6 points from 6 with a 4-1 win at Livingston. And Dundee United under Mickey Mellon still unbeaten, 4 points after a 1-0 success away at Motherwell. Tomorrow Rangers, St Mirren and Kilmarnock against Celtic. We'll have news of that on BBC Radio 5 Live tomorrow afternoon. This is the Champions League, and Chelsea, well, early goal for Bayern Munich. Chelsea's hopes forlorn, and they were already faint before that. Back with Caballero it goes, all in green. Chelsea playing from left to right. Mason Mount comes under pressure from Thiago and is fouled, and it will be a free kick to Chelsea.
They're called pippers. Pippers, sunflower seeds.
Oh, they are sunflower seeds.
You were right, yes, yeah. I'll back you up when you're right.
Yeah, thank you, pippers, right. Well, thank you for putting my mind at rest. Reece James, back to Christensen, Caballero. And it's because of Bayern Munich's work off the ball that Chelsea are being forced back. They're trying to beat the press. Thiago quite high, he's given away another foul. And again, Mason Mount, he tries to plead his innocence to the Romanian referee.
It's such a clever press, and they do it and they work on it so much, and this is what clubs can try to do but very rarely manage to do it, is the press of when one player goes, not that they all go like the old school, when we all go together. It's you go in a certain direction, you close a different man down other than the player with the ball to create the pass. You let them think that they've got a pass, but actually you're creating this trap, and it's what the top clubs and what the big players can do so quickly and so cleverly, and it's so hard. We saw it last night with Manchester City doing it to Real Madrid. They know which pass to press, not just to press any old pass. We leave it to that player to play that ball, then we go.
The voice of Rob Green on BBC Radio 5 Live as Davis is forward, left-hand side of the penalty area. Plays it back, interception from Kante to Barkley, who dropped his shoulder and turned. The ball runs out of play. We've hardly seen much of Barkley in the 22.5 minutes so far as he takes the throw, gets it from Kante, and little ball dinked in field, given away, and there was Thiago and Alaba all the way back to Neuer.
It's so hard for this Chelsea team that Ross Barkley gets a throw in, takes it, gets the ball back. He's got 4 Bayern Munich players around him, and the only thing he can do is try to lob a little ball in field, and they lose it. And again, Bayern Munich then make the pitch so big, and they can't press that, because if you do that over 90 minutes, you'll get torn apart.
Bayern Munich have failed to score now once in their last 48 games, and that was against Leipzig. In the build-up before they played Chelsea, it was a goalless draw against Leipzig, and since then a 17-match winning sequence is a new German record. So they are a side very much, well, like the colour of their shirts, red hot in terms of form. 23.5 minutes played. Neuer slips outside of his penalty area, and Davis, and the ball had actually crossed the touchline. Frank Lampard applauds the pressing. But it's a Chelsea throw. Kovacic caught under pressure from Müller, breaks towards Lewandowski on the edge of the area. Lewandowski holds the ball up, he might still go it alone. He's played the ball in, and Bayern Munich have got themselves a second goal. And it is Perisic who has just stroked the ball past Caballero. Lewandowski with the first, and then he turns provider, and Bayern Munich increase their lead. Bayern 2, Chelsea 0.
Well, it was slow from Chelsea on the ball, and Kovacic gets caught. We're talking about this pressing, and it's just a simple throw-in, a square throw-in. And I think it's Müller who closes him down, gets the ball to Lewandowski. The 2 Chelsea centre-halves back off him. and Perisic has got all the time in the world. It's a simple square pass, and he's one-on-one. It's a simple side foot finish, which he makes look really easy into the corner. Very good finish. But we've been talking about this Bayern Munich press, and it's there. They know when to go, they know how to do it, and if you play a square ball, even if it's a throw-in and you think it's easy, that's when they go. These square balls are critical to the press, and they press because they know there's not a threat in behind. And now 5-0 down overall. I mean, it's now a damage limitation job for this Chelsea team.
It is architects of their own downfall when you think that Caballero gave away the penalty. Kovacic then caught in possession by Müller, and as a result Bayern Munich now race into a 2-goal lead on the night, which means that it is 5-0 on aggregate. And as Rob Green quite rightly says, damage limitation, as Emerson will warm the hands of Neuer on the edge of the area with a rasping and rising left-footed drive that has been spilt behind for a corner kick, and it will be a corner kick to Chelsea, but the damage has been done in the opening quarter of the game. Corner taken short, didn't beat the first man as it was tried to be played into the penalty area, and Bayern Munich lead Chelsea by 2-0. Up in the air it goes, and then not convincingly headed away by Thomas Müller, and Goretzka is the player who comes back to help out, and Davis will be the left back, just opens up the palms of his hands, just having control, and Bayern Munich will build from the back, and then Kante dives in against Goretzka, and it runs out of play for a Bayern Munich throw. So very, very difficult now for Frank Lampard, but all part of the learning experience, both for the manager and for the players.
Well, you look at it and Frank, we turn around and say, this is the standard. This is what we need to attain to. These are the best teams. This is the best team in Europe. This is where we should be competing. And to be honest, over the 2 games now, it's not even 2 games, 30 minutes into the second leg, it's not really been a contest, has it? They got torn apart at Stamford Bridge. And as you say, masters of their own downfall tonight. And it's one that Frank will be frustrated, I think, more from the defeat against Arsenal in the Cup, because that's the critical point. You're so far away from winning a competition here in this game that this defeat won't hurt you. It's the one last week that you look at, you say you're winning in a cup final and you throw it away, or you manage to let it fall from the grass. That's the disappointment. That's not the Frank Lampard's Chelsea that he wants to create. That's not what he was like as a player.
2 goals in the Allianz Arena, and there's been 2 in the Nou Camp as well, as Hudson-Odoi, oh, what a fine goal that was. Hudson-Odoi has reduced the arrears on the night with a planted right-footed shot into the bottom right-hand corner. That was a fine goal from Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Wonderful strike, wonderful goal, good footwork in the middle of the pitch, plays the ball into Tammy Abraham, finds a bit of space away from the 2 centre-halves. Callum Hudson-Odoi, good footwork, works himself away from Thiago, opens his body up, he knows what he's going to do. Neuer knows what he's going to do, he's going to bend it in the far corner, opens his body up, manages to get the shot out from under his feet, and it's a wonderful goal. I think you're looking at the Bayern Munich defence, and they've been so aggressive so far. It's the one time they've let Tammy Abraham get the ball into his feet, get it laid off, and Callum is there. You've got to take your chances when you're against this team. Unfortunately, they've not been tight at the back like they need to be as well.
It will probably only be a consolation, but it's Bayern 2, Chelsea 1. It means that Bayern lead 5-1 on aggregate. We've been playing for 28 minutes, but there has, as we mentioned, another goal in the Nou Camp. Barcelona-Napoli. Rob Schofield watching.
Trademark Lionel Messi goal here, Deno, the genius at work. He rode a couple of challenges on the right-hand side of the box, got grounded, got up still, and found the outside corner, and it trickled into the net. His 115th in the Champions League. Barcelona lead 2-0 on the night, 3-1 on aggregate.
And whilst we were away, the goal has actually been ruled out. Bayern 2, Chelsea 0. Just seen a shot of Frank Lampard looking very quizzical as to why it was ruled out. We haven't had an opportunity to gauge why that was.
Not a clue, Deno. No. At a guess, from where the free kick was taken, I can only guess that Tammy came from an offside position. And it must be so frustrating. There wasn't much of a reaction from the Chelsea players, and he just got on with the game. But, Frank sort of shrugged and asked the question, but again, we still don't know why.
So Bayern Munich 2, Chelsea 0. That goal disallowed, and it is 5-0 still to Bayern Munich, as the back pass to Neuer quickly removed away from his left foot inside his 6-yard area. Hansi Flick certainly wasn't happy how they'd conceded, but that goal has been cancelled out. It's a shame as well, because Hudson-Odoi struck it so well into the bottom right-hand corner. So Bayern still lead 2-0, but it will be Bayern against Barcelona next Friday night in the quarter-finals. The way that the last 16 games are shaping up for these return legs. Bayern 2, Chelsea 0. Müller, right corner of the penalty area. Ball played inside by Kimmich. Goretzka chips it into the penalty area. On the volley was Gnabry. And he was slightly on the stretch as he's hit it right-footed on the corner of the 6-yard area, and he's pulled it wide. Half an hour played, Bayern still lead 2-0.
It's wonderful one-touch football from Bayern Munich. It's great stuff, and all it was missing was the finish. Gnabry on the volley, stretching, and could only hook it out for a throw-in. I mean, but it would have been a miracle goal. It would have been a wonderful goal. But as you were saying there, it must have been really frustrating for Callum Hudson-Odoi. So few chances since the restart to get a bit of time on the pitch, get a bit of an opportunity to show what he can do. It's not really happened for him after such a bright start last season, and this season, for one reason or another, been a bit hit and miss, a bit stop-starting. That showed the quality against the team that supposedly were going to buy him last season, and again, just give a little bit of life to this Chelsea team.
Yeah, there was strong interest from Bayern Munich before, of course, he signed that new 5-year deal in September, and ruled out for offside. So
yeah, that was Tammy Abraham stepping back from an offside position. That's my guess anyway.
So VAR intervening. It was intervened on 2 occasions tonight. One to award the penalty, because that was dismissed straight away by the Romanian referee when he saw that the flag was up on the far side, but then VAR checked that and gave it, converted by Lewandowski, and then Hudson-Odoi's had that goal just before the half hour ruled out for the offside for Tammy Abraham. So Bayern 2, Chelsea 0 still the scoreline, with 13 minutes to go to half-time on BBC Radio 5 Live. Müller on the right-hand side, clips over the cross, header directed back by James. Caballero has to accelerate and keeps the ball in play. All in green, as Chelsea with Caballero once again. They're content to try and play the ball out from the back, but there comes the press from Bayern Munich, and it's with Zuma. Didn't look too comfortable with the ball at his feet. Caballero then will strike it away downfield, and it's going to be collected by Thiago, who's almost playing in a left-back role with Davies so far up, and he sees it back to Neuer. But Bayern Munich very, very comfortable.
Very comfortable and very good. They're still on it, they're still at it, they're still pressing, even though they're 2-0 up, 5-0 up on aggregate. They know they've had the practice match last week. This is now effectively another practice match for this tournament in Lisbon.
Bayern Munich are on the attack. Lewandowski's going to shoot outside the penalty area. It was blocked, and it cannons away out for a throw on the Bayern Munich right. Bayern still lead by 2-0 on the night. 5-0 overall. Lewandowski still wanting more goals. We talk about Chelsea having a number of youngsters on the Chelsea bench, Bayern Munich as well. In fact, there are a couple on the Bayern Munich bench that actually came from the Chelsea academy, as only now we're seeing the VAR offside on the monitor. And it looked very, very tight. I mean, it probably was, but Frank Lampard certainly didn't seem to agree with it. It looked like the trailing leg of Tammy Abraham.
It was the back leg of Tammy. He's just stepped back to go forwards as a natural reaction, and that step has taken him offside. So, real frustration, but like you say, VAR with the offsides is that clinical, isn't it?
Certainly is. Gnabry switched, hasn't he, now with Perisic? Gnabry's occupying a position on the left.
Yeah, this Bayern Munich team, this front four, they sometimes Müller goes up front and Lewandowski pulls wide, and they pick players to go and stand on at times. And if the left back's got the ball, then they'll go and stand on the opponent's left back to create space for their teammates. So they can interchange all the time, and it depends on where the ball is on the pitch. They'll have ideas in their head all the time. They'll have ideas of who's got the ball, what type of pass they can play or what they want to play, and where they should make their runs from. That's how good this Bayern Munich team are.
They are a very, very technically good side, and Bayern Munich have got pace, they've got threat of goals from all quarters. When you think that Gnabry's contributed 20, Müller doesn't create as many goals as he once did. However, nevertheless, his 25 assists this season, a Bundesliga record, as here he is, Thomas Müller with a cutback, and Kante was the one who was forced to go with that run and get the block in.
He's changed his role, hasn't he, over the years, Molly? He's not that figurehead anymore. He likes to... He's almost the false nine, isn't he? And he's just drifting around and picks and chooses, just as we were saying, and he uses his footballing knowledge now to go and find those gaps. And as you say, if you're involved in 25 goals in a season without scoring one, then you've still done a hell of a job over the course of the season. Yeah,
and you think his 12 goals that he's scored and his 25 assists, that's not bad, is it?
That's some return, even in, when you're saying it's not numerically in goal terms, it's not massive, but you'd want him in your team.
You certainly would, and in fact tonight is his 112th appearance in the Champions League, so he equals Philipp Lahm's German record. He's been an excellent servant down the years for Bayern Munich, who lead Chelsea by 2-0. Kimmich playing at right back, under pressure, has to go back. Thiago will retrieve the ball himself, and then Neuer wanders out of his penalty area as Bayern Munich play from right to left, but at a very steady and casual pace. They will just bring the ball forward. Boateng, Abraham in front of him. In the end, it was Gnabry who's got into a central area inside the centre circle. Thiago, Müller is able to turn. It's a ball looking towards Goretzka, who'd made a run in towards the penalty area. Müller will win the ball back. Here is Gnabry. Davies is on the overlap. He tries to thread it through. It's blocked, and then in the end, it's stubbed away by Kante from inside his own penalty area. As Chelsea once again were being stretched at the back by this Bayern Munich side that is hungry for more goals as they lead 2-0.
Yeah, you're looking at his camera focuses on Goretzka now. He's making that run into the box. That's a defensive midfielder making the run into the box now. They know that they sense more goals in this game. They sense more opportunities, and they want to score. I mean, you're talking about Lewandowski's goal record. He'll be wanting more goals. He'll be eyeing up these records and people around him, and as and what they can score and how they can score them. And these sorts of opportunities, they don't come around very often. He'll get 3 more games maybe in this tournament, and he'll be saying, well, I need as many goals as possible in this game alone. Yeah,
well, you just reminded me, actually, the Champions League record for goals in a campaign is 17, as Cristiano Ronaldo with that in the 13-14 season. So Lewandowski's now moved on to 12, so he's within 5 of the Champions League record, and should Bayern Munich go all the way, then there's every possibility that Robert Lewandowski, in the form that he is with his 52 goals, could trouble Ronaldo's record. Abraham would have been offside as Kovacic's ball reached him, but it went flashing past him, and Bayern Munich once again will play it forward. Neuer, Lewandowski gets a touch, and then at walking pace, Thiago, Lewandowski drops off, back it goes. It's like a training exercise this for Bayern Munich, who lead 2-0.
Yeah, I was just going to say, pre-season friendly now we're into. It's probably as hot in Munich as it is here in England, and looking at it in the players thinking, one team thinking our season's over, the other team thinking we've got an important tournament ahead of us. And it's an unpopular opinion of mine, but you can reach certain points, say half-time in a game, and if the game's dead and buried, the 2 captains should be able to shake hands and move on, a bit like a cricket match.
Yeah, declare. Davies with the cross, blocked first time. Just thinking, what did you say they were? Pippies? Pippers. We could do with a few pippers to chew on in the... just have a little bowl just to the side of us. Bayern lead 2-0. Gnabry had made the run. That was cut out by Christensen. But again, Bayern win it back. you've got to admire their desire. The game is won, they're going through, they're leading by 2-0 on the night, but yet still they're not allowing Chelsea to get out of that final third.
No, it's that press, it's that initial reaction when Chelsea win the ball. You just saw Ross Barkley a moment ago winning the ball. He's got 4 players around him again, he can't do anything.
Perisic with the ball into the penalty area, and this time he'd popped up on the left-hand side. He was looking for Müller, who'd made that darting run into the 6-yard area. Hudson-Odoi will bring the ball clear. He goes on the outside of a very half-hearted challenge from Gnabry, and then he turns inside the centre circle and plays it back out towards Emerson, the left-back, who will come forward as Bayern Munich still lead by 2-0 on the night with 5 minutes to go to half-time on BBC Radio 5 Live. Kante, Reece James will wander forward. They were involved in a helter-skelter game against Ajax in the group stages. No sign of any madcap antics in the Allianz Arena as they trail by 2-0, and they're 5-0 down on aggregate. Hudson-Odoi strokes it to Ross Barkley. Reece James will wander forward, right corner of the area. The cross is a deep one towards the far post, quite high for Mason Mount to control, as Chelsea do win it back, but Kante has put James under a lot of pressure. He did actually well to keep the ball in play. Then Kante runs into Perisic. Might have just caught Perisic a little bit there. He still goes after the ball as the Chelsea captain. Davis, though, will win a Bayern throw off the outstretched leg of N'Golo Kante. And we've got 4 minutes to go to half-time. But aside from that Hudson-Odoi goal, and we had an effort from Emerson, Chelsea haven't really troubled Neuer.
No, they've not had the opportunity to really get through the press and get good possession in Bayern Munich's half. I mean, they did in that moment, and Reece James, one of the very few chances of having good possession and getting a good ball into the box, picked out Mason Mount, chose to try and bring it down, but could have gone with his head maybe. First time finish, but again, it's these fine margins that once you're getting those opportunities, you've got to take them, because they're so few and far between.
Hudson-Odoi's picked up the ball on the Chelsea left, and he then checks back. A return ball from Emerson, who continues his run, and it will be over the head of Emerson for him to chase after, and then he might have just caught Goretzka. That was a little bit needless from Emerson. The ball had gone, he slid in, he caught Goretzka, and he might well be getting a yellow card here from the Romanian referee, who's got it already out in his right hand, and Emerson is going to be shown yellow for a needless foul.
Yeah, a little bit of tiredness, a little bit of frustration there, running forwards, and the frustration is here that Callum Hudson-Odoi is picking up the ball on a couple of occasions, and you can tell by the centre circle that he's about 8 yards in his own half, and the Bayern Munich back line, back four, is 8 yards in their own half. And so they make the pitch so small, but they're so confident that they've got the pace for the run in behind the ball over the top, that they can keep up with any Chelsea player. And there, Goretzka did so with Emerson, and Emerson, realising that he's made a 60-yard run forwards, he's got to make an 80-yard run back, and he just thought, to hell with that, I'm bringing him down and taking a breather.
And as a result of it, he was shown yellow, bearing in mind that Alonso was sent off against Bayern in the first leg. Jorginho picked up a costly yellow card. That's the why that Jorginho is not playing tonight. He's suspended for Chelsea, and allied with the injuries to Azpilicueta, Pulisic and Pedro, it's a depleted squad in terms for Frank Lampard, with options for selection. So a number of youngsters have been named among that lengthy list on the bench. Kovacic to Reece James, forward on the right-hand side. First time cross from Reece James. Not much of an aerial threat, though, in the penalty area for Chelsea, as Kante picks up the ball on the left-hand side, plays it short, and behind him for Hudson-Odoi, back inside to Emerson. Emerson inside the 6-yard area, spilt by the goalkeeper and tapped in by Tammy Abraham. And so 60 seconds before the half-time and the regulation 45, Tammy Abraham with a consolation. It's Bayern Munich 2, Chelsea 1.
Well, it's the first time that Chelsea have had a bit of possession for a sustained period of time. Reece James down the right, then Callum Hudson-Odoi and Emerson down the left. He gets to the 6-yard line and just fires it across the box. Manuel Neuer is at his near post, and he doesn't know where Tammy Abraham or any other Chelsea player is behind him. There's Ross Barkley behind Tammy Abraham. He's thinking that Tammy Abraham's gambled and gone across behind him, and all he can do is get his left hand down on the ball and leave it there, just simple as you like, for Tammy to finish into an empty net. They're the ones, as a goalkeeper, sometimes you look at, if the ball's fired hard across the 6-yard box, you're better off taking a chance and just letting it go straight across the box, because if they're firing it that hard across the 6-yard box, the chances are it's too fast for the attacker as well.
The fourth start since restart for Tammy Abraham, and it yields his 18th goal for Chelsea's top scorer as we're about to go into first half stoppage time. Rob Green, former Chelsea and England goalkeeper, watching here, as there will be just the additional 60 seconds. Bayern 2, Chelsea 1. And Frank Lampard, in a rather enthusiastic manner, was applauding that Abraham goal, because he'll be looking for those positive signs.
He's looking for the character. He's looking for a bit of life from his team, a little bit of something, just to get them through the game, to show that they can compete with teams like this, and on a personal level prove something. Tammy not played much since the restart, lost his place to Oli Giroud. Callum Hudson-Odoi, another one, not really played much. Prove a point to your manager, and they've had precious little up front during the game, but one goal disallowed and another one they just scored. I'll tell you what, at 2-2, you'd have said they'd have done okay.
Yeah. 2-1 down. Got a corner kick as well in first half stoppage time, which they're going to have to be quick to take. It'll be an in-swinger from Emerson off his left foot, but he's overhit that, and it goes over everybody's head. And I'm sure now that the Romanian referee will blow his half-time whistle, and indeed there it is. So half-time, Bayern Munich 2, Chelsea 1, and Caballero fouling Lewandowski after 9 minutes, and after consultation with the VAR, the penalty was awarded. They initially thought that he was offside, Lewandowski converting that penalty, and then after Kovacic was caught in possession after 24 minutes by Müller, up towards Lewandowski, held onto the ball and found Perisic, who just guided the ball in to make it 2-0 after 24 minutes. 4 minutes later, Hudson-Odoi had a goal ruled out for offside. It was a right-footed shot into the bottom right-hand corner, but Abraham was adjudged to have been offside, so VAR ruled that out. And then just before half-time, Emerson firing in a low cross from the left, and Neuer spilling it, and then it was Abraham from close range to get the consolation for Chelsea. So half-time here, Emma. It's Bayern Munich 2, Chelsea 1.
Ian, thank you. Rob Green, Chelsea have pulled one back, but I did hear you use the phrase damage limitation a couple of times. And I think you saw that in the way that Lampard sort of graciously clapped the goal that Chelsea pulled back. What kind of words do you think they'll be exchanging in that Chelsea dressing room at the break? What's the aim now, this second 45?
I think, again, it's just looking for the performance. I think you're looking at it and saying, well, we scored 2 goals, one, a fraction offside, another one where they sustained a bit of pressure in that half. Can you do more of the same? The first two, the 2 goals that they conceded were avoidable. And so you're saying, well, these aren't, Bayern Munich are a fantastic team. They've got quality all over the pitch, and at times they look like they can tear Chelsea apart. But the times you have conceded, they're avoidable. The times you've scored, albeit one being conceded, is the times when you've shown that bit of quality. Do more of the same. Yes, it is a bit of a practice match now. Yes, the tie is over. But, there are times there, and they've been fleeting, but the times that Chelsea have put it together, got a bit of sustained pressure, gone through the press, and had that quality on the ball, they've caused them problems.
Rob Green and Ian Dennis, our commentary team, will be back to bring us second half commentary as Chelsea do trail Bayern Munich 2-1 tonight. That's 5-1 on aggregate. Barcelona, meanwhile, lead Napoli 2-0 in that other game. We'll get an update from Rob Schofield on how that first half has played out exactly. It has been a jam-packed day of sport on 5 Live. We're going to be back to round it all up shortly, but first, let's get the news with Helen Place.
On digital, BBC Sounds, smart speaker and online.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live. A police officer has died in clashes with demonstrators in Beirut. The protesters are angry about the explosion on Tuesday and have occupied several government buildings. At least 158 people died and more than 6,000 were injured. The Home Office has asked for military help to stop people crossing the Channel in small boats. At least 350 people have arrived from France since Thursday. BBC One extra DJ Sideman has quit in protest over the use of the N-word in a BBC News report. A reporter used it in a story about a racially aggravated attack in Bristol. The BBC says it's disappointed by his decision and the door remains open. A children's author shot at his home in Hampshire has died. James Nash suffered serious head injuries in the attack near Andover on Wednesday. The suspect died in a police chase after trying to flee on a motorbike. And 8 Aberdeen footballers who are self-isolating after visiting a pub in the city linked to a coronavirus cluster have apologised for what they call an error of judgment. 2 of the players have tested positive. The city was put back in lockdown this week.
BBC 5 Live.
Laura Whitmore.
Hey, I'm Laura Whitmore, back on BBC Radio 5 Live every Sunday. Join me and my guests as we kick back and chew over everything that's grabbed our attention this week.
An Afghan all-female robotics team have designed a low-cost ventilator. It's long-lasting, lightweight, and it will help to tackle the coronavirus pandemic. And it's going to save lives for years to come. And I just thought, what a wonderful story of team of youngsters.
And 18 as well. I kind of look back to what I was doing at 18.
I was not designing
doing that.
Laura Whitmore. Sunday morning from 10.
BBC Radio 5 Live.
This is 5 Live Sport.
Right then, Champions League football tonight, rounding off a busy day on 5 Live Sports. So Chelsea 2-1 down at the break at Bayern Munich. We can get the latest now from the other round of 16 game going on this evening. Keeping across Barcelona against Napoli is Rob Schofield.
Yeah, I'm just watching Lorenzo Insigne walking up to a spot kick here for Napoli just before the half-time whistle. It's Barcelona 3, Napoli 0. In terms of the goals up until this point, Clement Lenglet headed in from a corner after 10 minutes, then some messy magic, grounded but got up on the right-hand side of the area and found the far corner of the net for 2-0. He then was taken out himself to award a Barcelona penalty. Took 4 minutes for VAR to do it. He hobbled off to the side after taking a thwack from Kalidou Koulibaly. Luis Suarez netted that one. So I'm watching Lorenzo Insigne, as I said, about to take this penalty for Napoli. It will just about keep them in this tie. We're deep into added time, and he has scored. Lorenzo Insigne, the Napoli captain, keeping his side just about in this one. It's Barcelona 3, Napoli 1, 4-1 on aggregate. 4-2 on aggregate as we approach the half-time whistle. It's all happening at the Nou Camp.
It certainly is. Rob, thank you. That is the latest from tonight's Champions League action. Elsewhere, England beat Pakistan by 3 wickets in the first test at Emirates Old Trafford this afternoon. Chris Wokes hit an unbeaten 84 to help England achieve a remarkable comeback. Joe Root spoke to Jonathan Agnew.
Today, I couldn't be more proud of the group. Showed immense character, mental strength at times, great amounts of skill as well. And that partnership was breathtaking, really. I thought it contained everything. Composure, high levels of skill, being able to manipulate field at times, the pace and tempo that they fluctuate out up and down the gears. It really had it all.
And actually, I'm going to just take you back to those first 16 balls of the day too. I mean, that didn't exactly go according to plan either, did it? No,
it didn't, but that can happen. We knew that we wanted to hit them as hard as we could with our informed bowler, and albeit it took us 2.5 overs to bowl them out, probably more runs than we would have liked. But then again, we knew that when it came to batting, how we were going to approach it. It was all about being really clear about how we wanted to go and play individually and committing to that. And you saw that with the way the guys played. There's a couple of dismissals in there that guys couldn't have done much about. And the guys that followed, they didn't let that affect them. They went and were very clear and precise about executing their game plans, and I'm extremely proud of the way that they managed that.
England captain Joe Root speaking to Jonathan Agnew there as England won the first test against Pakistan at Old Trafford by 3 wickets. It's the third day of the first golf major of the year, the USPGA Championship at Harding Park in San Francisco. Let's join Sarah Mulkerrins for the latest.
Yes, Emma, the early starters are out on the course at the moment. Remember that the overnight lead was held by China's Li Haotong on 8 under. He will tee off at 11 o'clock our time tonight, along with Tommy Fleetwood, who was 2 shots back on 6 under. Justin Thomas, the world number 1 and winner last week in Memphis, he hasn't had the best of tournaments so far. He started today 9 off the lead. He looked to be making a big run up the leaderboard. 5 birdies in his opening 7 holes, but he has found trouble after that, and he ended with a round of 68 to move to 1 under. Rory McIlroy is out on the course right now. He started on 1 under. He needs to make a big push to give him any sort of chance tomorrow. He parred his opening 4 holes before a birdie on the 5th has moved him to 2 under. Tiger Woods as well. He still seems to be struggling with that putter today. There was a 3-putt for him on the par 3 8th, so that saw him drop a shot. Another 2 bogeys then on 11 and 12 has him 3 over, and not so good news for England's Matt Wallace as well. He started 1 over. He has dropped another 5 shots, so he is currently 6 over through 15. And the woes also continue for the man chasing a PGA Championship title to complete a career Grand Slam of majors. Jordan Spieth, a round of 76 for him today. He is 7 over. But all the big contenders, Emma, are still to tee off. We know that Justin Rose is also on that mark of 6 under, along with Fleetwood, and also the defending champion, the big hitter Brooks Koepka, and Paul Casey as well, as 1 shot back on 5 under. So I think we will expect some big moves there.
Sarah, thank you. There will be commentary of the third round of the USPGA Championship from midnight. That's on 5 Live Sports Extra. There's been 2 matches in Super League today. Dave Woods has been watching them at Headingley.
Well, the story of the day was Catalan's 40 points to 14 win over Castleford. Castleford are leading 14-0 after only 14 minutes, but thereafter Catalan really dug in and produced some sparkling form. And the headline act, Israel Folau. There's a lot of controversy about him off the field, but on it, no doubt about his athleticism. He scored 1 try and was very much a big part in several of the other tries as well. So the French side back in winning ways. And in the second game, an easy stroll for Warrington, 40 points to 10 winners against Hull KR. Hull KR first to score after only 1 minute, but thereafter Warrington in charge. They led 12-4 at half-time. Lynham Akwala scorers before the break, and then it was all them in the second half. Gelling, Charnley, Widdop and Ratchford try scorers for a 40 points to 10 win.
It was qualifying for Sunday's 70th anniversary Grand Prix at Silverstone this afternoon. Valtteri Bottas has taken pole position with teammate Lewis Hamilton in second and Nico Hülkenberg taking the third spot. And Jenny Gow, that's not an unusual sight.
Yes, a Mercedes front row lockout. Again, Mark Priestley alongside me, and OK, no surprise that it's Mercedes on the front, but Bottas doing what he needed to do when it counted and getting pole position.
Yeah, really important that he did that today, both psychologically and in terms of tomorrow's race. If he's going to do anything in the championship to try and overhaul the current 6-time world champion of Lewis Hamilton, he needs to get his elbows out in the race. He needs to keep Lewis behind, and that all started today in qualifying.
Bottas' 13th pole, which is good for him, but when you compare him to Lewis Hamilton, especially around a circuit like Silverstone, where Hamilton has had 7 poles in the past, not this one, and 7 wins, what can he do during that race to really try to get the better of Hamilton?
Well, it begins at the start, of course. As the lights go out, he has to get the power down. He has to get the launch off the line at least as good as Hamilton, if not better. He cannot afford to be overtaken in the run down to Abbey, the first corner. If he does that, he's in real trouble in the race. But if he can stay ahead of Hamilton, then he's got to be aggressive. He's got to make his car wide and pull out every racing trick in the book to keep him behind, because that is exactly what Lewis would do if it was the other way around.
And the battle in the midfield is going to be epic. We have Nico Hülkenberg in the Racing Point, we have Max Verstappen in the Red Bull, and we have Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault, all going to battle it out to see who can be best of the rest.
And there will be live commentary of the race. That is tomorrow from 2 o'clock on 5 Live. Just finally, we'll get the latest then from the World Snooker Championship in Sheffield. And here's Jamie Broughton.
And Karen Wilson is closing in on the quarterfinals in a showdown with the defending champion Judd Trump. He now leads Martin Gould by 9 frames to 3, with 13 the target for victory. On the other table, the former champion Neil Robertson is 6-5 up against Barry Hawkins in his second round match. Earlier today, the 5-time winner Ronnie O'Sullivan finished tied at 8 frames all with Ding Junhui. They'll play to a finish tomorrow. Jamie Clark was also 8-7 up against Anthony McGill, but the real talking point in that match was a spat in frame 10 when McGill told Clark he was standing in his eye line during a shot. Referee Jan Verhaas had to intervene to calm things down. Clark also tweeted during the mid-session interval, "If you want to dance, let's dance." Could be an interesting finish to that one, Emma.
Well, what a day it's been. It's not over yet, although it does look that way for Chelsea, possibly. In the Champions League knockout stages, they do trail Bayern Munich by 2-1 on the night. That does mean it's 5-1 on aggregate. Our studio commentary team for this one, Ian Dennis and Rob Green, will be taking us through the second half shortly. Gents, just before we do, right, Robert Lewandowski, here's some stats. Most goals in the Bundesliga, most goals in the DFB Pokal, most goals in the Champions League, most goals in Europe. There is, of course, time for him to still add to this tally. He scored his 52nd goal of the season tonight against Chelsea. Robert, if there's one player who's probably most disappointed there's no Ballon d'Or this year, it is Robert Lewandowski, isn't it?
It's the one time, isn't it? You're looking at it and he looks at it and said, Ronaldo's out of the tournament, Messi might be out, he's not through just yet. Yeah, this is my chance, this is my time, but no, sorry. And it's a shame for him, but I tell you what, he's managed to just keep going and keep on improving as well as a player. And what you manage to be able to do is when you play in a Bayern Munich team, if you can evolve along with the team, this is what the great players do. They manage to keep on recreating. He's been around for such a long time, and those stats that Dano came up with earlier, to be involved in the Champions League for so long and keep on scoring is an incredible feat.
It certainly is. Well, the teams are now back out at the Allianz Arena, so we will hand once more to our studio commentary team. As we heard there, it's the voice of Rob Green, and he's alongside Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Emma. Yeah, the studs you can hear clumping their way down are the Bayern Munich players who, in the staggered formation, as is the case with social distancing, just delayed out onto the pitch behind Chelsea in a first half where Bayern Munich leading by 2-1. That Abraham goal from close range just before the break, giving a consolation for Frank Lampard's side, but Bayern Munich still heading through for what would be a last 8 date with Barcelona, who are leading Napoli in the Nou Camp. There doesn't appear to be any changes being made from either side, so the Chelsea team, Caballero in goal, Reece James, Andreas Christensen, Kurt Zuma and Emerson the defence. 4-3-3 is the formation. The 3 in midfield, Barkley, Kante and Kovacic, and the 3 up front, Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham and Callum Hudson-Odoi, who had a goal ruled out for offside, disallowed in the first half. The Romanian referee, Ovidiu Hatagan, about to blow his whistle. The Bayern Munich side is Manuel Neuer in goal. A back 4 of Kimmich, Alaba, Boateng and Davis. As the second half is underway, Thiago and Goretzka, and then the 3 behind Lewandowski, Gnabry, Müller and Perisic, as Bayern lead Chelsea by 2-1. And in the second half, Chelsea in their royal blue shirts and shorts and white socks, playing from right to left against a Bayern Munich side all in red, looking to maintain this excellent record. 26-match unbeaten run since, well, early December, away to Borussia Mönchengladbach. And they've won 25 of those 26 games, scoring goals for fun in the process, as Mason Mount toils away but beaten. And then Boateng back to Neuer, just rose up his left foot, made it very difficult for him to clear, but eventually he managed to get the ball away, controlled by Kante, the Chelsea captain. And you said at one stage in the first half, Rob, that damage limitation, a test of their character or a chance to show their character. which they've done by reducing the arrears on the night, and I'm sure that that's what Frank Lampard has said for his players again, just to keep on there and restore some pride and keep battling away.
Yep, and learn and test yourself and go up against the best and pride yourself against the best.
Gnabri's early ball in, too close to goalkeeper Caballero, as it was Perisic who was making that run in, but it was safely gathered by the goalkeeper inside his 6-yard area. And the other news as well at half-time is that Pipas, the nuts that we were talking about in the first half, enhance hair growth supposedly. So whilst Rob Green, who in lockdown had a Mohican, certainly doesn't need his fair share of Pipas, I on the other hand do, and I require it in plentiful supply.
I think you can get a hatful from a certain delivery company sent to your door for the morning.
Yeah, that would go down very, very well. Muy bien. If an arrival was to be dispatched from España. But the destination for Bayern Munich will be Lisboa and Portugal. And they'll be taking on Barcelona because the last 8 lineup will be complete after tonight, with Barcelona-Bayern on Friday. It all starts on Wednesday night. Atalanta against Paris Saint-Germain, Leipzig against Atletico on the Thursday. That's one half of the draw. And then you've got the other half of the draw that includes Manchester City. Barca against Bayern will lie in wait for either the Manchester City or Lyon. But the way that Manchester City played last night, Pep Guardiola's side would certainly fancy a place in the semi-finals of the Champions League. And both of those games, Bayern-Barca on the Friday night and City-Lyon next Saturday, will be live on 5 Live. Mason Mount surging forward into the penalty area, steadies himself, gets the shot away, low, left-footed, saved by Neuer at his near post. Bayern still lead 2-1 on 5 Live.
Yeah, it's the first time this Chelsea team have managed to broach this back line of Bayern Munich when they hold it so high up the pitch, and it was a run from Mason Mount. Not the front man, but one in sort of second man run in behind. He just got through and went a little bit too wide with his touch, and someone the size of Neuer standing at his near post, he covers the whole of the goal, and all he manages to do is hit it low at his feet, and it's comfortable for Neuer. But those are the runs that the Chelsea players need to make, runs in behind this Bayern Munich defence.
Abraham running forward now for Chelsea. Boateng goes with him. Abraham gets the ball stuck underneath his feet to Barkley, and in the end it was Thiago who, just sliding inside the penalty area, did enough to take the ball away from Ross Barkley. It might have been fractionally behind Barkley as he looked to shoot right-footed, but again it was promising from Chelsea, and they've come out of the second half with a very positive intent from Frank Lampard's side.
Yeah, they've been fired up. You saw it straight from the kickoff, actually, that Tammy Abraham and N'Golo Kante and Mason Mount all blocked the ball. And Bayern Munich, who probably coming out thinking, we'll just finish off this 45 minutes and see out the game, started a little bit slow, and they looked to play forward, and they blocked each kick forward. So they started with a real intention to this second half and have looked lively, and Tammy there going through had the opportunity to take a shot, decided not to, held it up, but he was so far in advance of the next Chelsea player, he had to wait, and that gave Thiago the chance to get back with a good covering tackle.
The voice of Rob Green on 5 Live. Alaba with a back pass to Neuer. Silver goalkeeper's outfit away to the left-hand side, and then a touch from Alaba. Thiago, who drops in between the 2 central defenders for Bayern Munich, all in red, leading by 2 goals to 1 on the night, and winning 5-1 on aggregate. Now Kimmich high up the pitch, near side, the right, playing as the right back. Kimmich midway through the Chelsea half, because of Barkley and Hudson-Odoi, has to go back, and then Alaba again because of Mason Mount, who's leading the Chelsea charge all the way to Neuer, plays it quite square to Davis. Chelsea will press on this occasion. Abraham gets a foot in there on Thiago, and because of Chelsea's work ethic there, they have won the ball midway through the Bayern half. Barkley releases it now to Hudson-Odoi. Emerson on the overlap. Hudson-Odoi comes on the inside, but in again, one touch too many, and in the end there was red shirts back, and Gnabry now is sent forward and looking to try and exploit that gap left by Emerson, who'd ventured forward. Müller lets it run through. Goretzka feeds the ball, joining the attack. Perisic just outside the penalty area. Reece James goes towards him. Thiago joins the attack. Kimmich now the right back. Lewandowski's made the run. It's floated forward into the penalty area. It's attacked by Reece James on the defensive for Chelsea, and it's kept in play by the former Arsenal and West Bromwich Albion man Serge Gnabry. Cross comes in from the right, headed away by Zuma. Downward header then by Boateng. Kimmich puts his foot on the ball. Thiago just outside the penalty area, and now it's with Kante, and the blue shirts are back in possession as Chelsea trail by 2-1 on the night. It's sliding across was Boateng to curb the run of Mason Mount, and out of play it goes for a throw with 6 minutes played in the second half.
Yeah, it's better from Chelsea, more intent, doing to Bayern Munich what Bayern Munich were doing to them in the first half, and it's a lot easier to win the ball back in the opponent's half if you can, because you don't have to break through the defensive line, you don't have to get through 10 players, and you only got the back four to go at. So it's better from Chelsea. The one thing they've got to be care of is the ball and being counter-attacked.
Well, here they are on the attack, Bayern Munich, and the shot from Alphonso Davies was blocked by a sliding block challenge by Zuma. Chelsea were thinking that there might have been a foul in the build-up to that attack. It was Thiago who went in. Davis was certainly there to try and pick up the ball. It's going to be, I think it was a throw rather than a corner kick. The Bayern players maybe thought that it was a corner. They're in no real hurry to take it. Just sauntering his way towards the corner flag is Alphonso Davies, this teenager who is an outstanding prospect, and he will pick up the ball with Bayern Munich leading by 2-1, and he just seems to be getting better and better for somebody who arrived last January from Vancouver. An outstanding season.
You wonder tonight that, just looking at it, and you look at Chelsea and focusing on them, and how many players do you think on the pitch right now are playing for their futures at the club? How many have got to... We talk about prove a point to the manager, and we've seen the likes of Timo Werner and Ziyech coming in, and there's talks of other players, Kai Havertz, Ben Chilwell, people like that may be coming to the club, talk of others. How many of these players has Frank yet to make his mind up upon?
Yeah, there's well, you think of the players that they have signed, they're being strongly linked with Declan Rice. They've made no secret of the fact that he's looking for another goalkeeper. As you say, Havertz is another one. It's a Chelsea side that is looking to strengthen, and then of course we'll look to try and eat into, what was it, the 33 points where they finished adrift of the champions Liverpool. I think that last season there were 26 points adrift of Manchester City, finished 33 off the top. They have secured Champions League football for next season. They'll be wanting to challenge for honours. Will the FA Cup runners-up for next season, and also go a stage further in the Champions League, because this will be a fourth successive exit at the last 16 stage now for Chelsea in the Champions League, as Kante loses out to Thiago, tidies up, and as you know from your experience when you've been at Stamford Bridge and the training ground at Cobham, you know, this is a Chelsea squad that is used to challenging for trophies.
This is what they do. This is the modern day Chelsea team, and speaking to Cesc Fabregas when he was at the club, and he spoke out and said, this Chelsea side, this is the team, the most successful team beyond Manchester United in the modern era in English football, and this is how they compete, and the expectation levels are there. When I was there, I think I said to Chappers last week that I looked at the bonus schedule and there wasn't a bonus for the Europa League. I said, why is there no bonus for winning the Europa League? I said, well, it's not the Champions League. And that's the level of expectation there is. So, you know, that's the sort of standard you're talking about at this club, and that's what Frank is used to, and that's what he's trying to create, and that's the mentality he's trying to instill in these players.
Kante charging after the ball, and through his acceleration and his enthusiasm. He's kept the ball in play on the right-hand side. Barkley will chip it to Hudson-Odoi, who tried, you could see what he wanted to do. He wanted to try and just cushion the ball and lay it off into the penalty area for the run of Mason Mount. But in the end, it seemed to just run straight ahead of him off his right foot rather than going on the diagonal in the direction of Mount. And so it went for a goal kick to Bayern Munich, who still lead 2-1, 11 minutes into the second half, and they've taken that goal quick, and already Bayern Munich looking to build from the back. You talk about the trophies, Rob. 16 trophies under Roman Abramovich since 2003. 7 different managers as well, so he's certainly chopped and changed, but it's worked for Chelsea. And certainly Frank Lampard, who was captain of that Chelsea side in the Allianz Arena, knows all about it. The highs of winning the Champions League in the most dramatic of circumstances, and that penalty shootout inside the Allianz Arena. It was Chelsea's cup in their stadium and in their city 8 years ago. Bayern, though, leading by 2-1, and it is they who are looking towards the Champions League quarter-final date next Friday with Barcelona, as Boateng has just gone down and it looks to be in a lot of pain as well in a challenge with Hudson-Odoi, stooping, and he might want to just pull the leg muscle there.
Yeah, I think it's his hamstring, just sprinting back for the ball and heading it back to Manuel Neuer, and it's his last step just before heading it. You can see his legs straighten and he's in a world of pain. His face is anguished and slamming the ground in agony, and it looks very reminiscent of Perisic and Azpilicueta last week in the FA Cup final. And he's got medical treatment straight out on him, but I don't know whether it's his hamstring or the back of the knee or his calf. It looks like his calf, but it looks to be painful.
Bearing in mind that they lead 2-1 on the night and 5-1 on aggregate, you would think that they wouldn't want to take any risk with the former Manchester City player Jerome Boateng, who's been carefully manipulating the right knee, whether it's the knee or the calf. But there's the prospect of Niklas Zula, who did his ACL against Augsburg. He was on the bench for the cup final against Leverkusen. He's only 12 appearances. He actually hasn't played since October because of that knee injury. So it'd be a run out of a good half an hour. I can't see how Boateng's going to continue, Rob.
What's the point in risking him, even if he could? I think you're looking at it now, and this would be the moment, an hour into the game, where Flick could be looking at it to say, well, I tell you what, we've won the game, we've done our job, let's go on, let's we're prepared for the last few games of this tournament in Lisbon. Let's protect my players, and this looks to be a painful one. But yeah, even still, why risk him even if he could carry on?
We heard from Boateng in the build-up to the game. He was saying how Hansi Flick has brought back all the joy and the fun. There's not much joy on the face of Boateng, grimacing at the minute, and it looks like he's going to try and walk it off, but it would seem an unnecessary risk from Bayern Munich when you consider the position of strength that they're actually operating in here against Chelsea with half an hour to go. 2-1 they lead on the night.
Sorry, Dano. Yeah, if you're looking at Zula, who's not played since October, was it that you're saying? Then
yeah.
you know, and then you're going into a game against Barcelona. You certainly don't want to be risking your only other fit centre half.
Hansi Flick continues to patrol the technical area. Boateng, though, has got his right arm aloft, and to his credit, he's willing to come back onto the field of play. And Jerome Boateng does indeed trot back into the centre of defence for Bayern Munich as Lewandowski wriggles away from Kovacic. He's got options to his right and left. He looked then for a ball through the middle for Gnabry to make that run from the right-hand side, a forward run, but it was scooped up by Caballero. It was a long throw out by Caballero. He picks out the chest of James, and then Christensen, making his 100th appearance for Chelsea this evening, course, he's had experience of playing in the Bundesliga for Borussia Mönchengladbach as James with the forward ball. Kante lays it off to Mason Mount, back to James. Seems to be barged in from behind. He stumbled a little bit, he's lost the ball, and now all of a sudden Goretzka will run forward, and Goretzka feeds the ball to Davies ahead of him. First time ball in from the left-hand side, and then Muller down into the ground. Over the top it goes, and he kicks the left-hand post in frustration with his right foot, because Bayern should have maybe increased their lead.
Yeah, for him, it's a simple chance. He sees the ball all the way onto his foot. It's a side volley finish, a comfortable height for him. He just gets over the top of it and puts it into the ground. But again, it's the press from Bayern Munich, that they're holding such a high line that none of the Chelsea players made the threat, made the running behind, and they get caught on the ball, and it allows Davies to break down the left.
I know some of my colleagues that Thomas Muller tends to irritate them and annoy them, but I just admire him so much. And you think what he's achieved in the game as well, but it's what he does off the ball. Sometimes it's his unselfish attitude and the fact that he'll put in a shift for the team. As Boateng has just tried a crossfield ball, it's just caught the arm of Abraham, who wasn't expecting it. So the referee stopped it. Abraham will be okay to continue. And then you think of what he does then contribute in terms of, he's nearing 200 club goals for Bayern Munich. I think if English football could produce 11 Thomas Müllers and the attitude, we'd be in a very healthy state.
I think he's one of them players that players love playing with. And you talk about players in the game who've played with players, and they say, well, what does he provide, what does he give? And he said, well, if you're not on the pitch with him, you just don't know, because you watch the ball, you watch what's happening, you watch the skillful players, but you don't see the other guys doing the jobs that they do, and he's one of them, I think. And I think this Bayern Munich team, you say, do you want him in your team? Absolutely.
Davies charging forward on the left-hand side, crosses into the penalty area, aimed towards Lewandowski. Last touch off Lewandowski, and it will be a goal kick to Chelsea. So 63 minutes played. Didn't have the drinks break, did we, in the first half? But there are going to be a couple of changes now, and Zula is going to be coming on, as is Philippe Coutinho as well, on loan from Barcelona. So Boateng is not going to continue. He did try and run it off, but Zula will replace Boateng, which seems the sensible choice. And so Zula is on, and Perisic is the other player who's going to come off for Philippe Coutinho, the Croatian on loan from Inter Milan, who got the second goal, as Bayern Munich are going comfortably through to the quarter-finals of the Champions League. So Coutinho for Perisic is the other change that Bayern Munich have made. Kante for Chelsea, royal blue shirts and shorts, white socks. Barkley gives the ball away. Coutinho feeds it forward straight away to Lewandowski, who holds onto the ball. Behind him, Goretzka lays it off. Seems to be overloaded with red shirts on the far left-hand side as they attack from left to right. Davies is forward with a cut-back, and that was stabbed behind by a stumbling Zuma, and out of play it goes for a throw. Bayern still lead 2-1 with 26 minutes remaining.
Yeah, it's Ross Barkley giving the ball away this time in the centre of midfield. Coutinho picking up, playing a clever ball through the Chelsea defence, and the cutback just wasn't there. But again, just look at this game and you look at the pattern of the play, and you just say, if you can take care on the ball and play through the press, you'll be all right. But too often in this Chelsea game, and too often over the course of the season, they just lost control of the ball and lost control in midfield so many times that it affects the performance over the 90 minutes.
Bayern Munich coming forward. Müller holding on to the ball, turns it behind. Coutinho, Lewandowski running from about 30 yards out to the edge of the area. Gnabry with a first-time cross, headed behind by Emerson. The other thing about Chelsea is that since restart, they've won 8 of their previous 12 games, but in their 4 defeats, and this will be maybe a 5th defeat, but now in this 5th game, they've conceded at least 2 in the 4 defeats prior to this, and once again they've conceded 2 goals again. You've got to start being a little bit more solid at the back, haven't you, I guess, as Kimmich with a corner kick on the right-hand side, headed up by Zuma. But as a former goalkeeper yourself, as Goretzka on the edge of the area heads it back into the penalty box, Kimmich has stayed there. Lewandowski with a volley and across the face of goal. He's appealing for a corner kick. And eventually I think the referee has given it. He struck it so sweetly. And it was instinctive, wasn't it, on the swivel.
He's just helping it across the 6-yard box. It catches Kurt Zuma. But Chelsea have the opportunities to clear there. It's not the first ball, it's not the second ball, it's the third ball into the box you're looking at, and you're just looking at saying, just put your foot through the ball, someone get it out. And again, that deflection off Kurt Zuma could have gone anywhere.
So corner kick, which Bayern Munich, leading by 2-1, are going to take on their left-hand side. This will be an in-swinger from Joshua Kimmich. Lewandowski makes a run towards the near post. Goretzka's also there. Zula lurks on the edge of the area. Kimmich floats it over, unchallenged. Thiago down into the ground with a header, still not dealt with. Alaba gets the shot away, saved by Caballero. Nobody picked up Thiago.
Well, if N'Golo Kante wasn't on the pitch, he'd be the smallest man on the pitch, and he's just got a free header from the edge of the box, and they got away with one there, really, Chelsea, and it was just a little lapse in concentration, a little missing in communication, that someone's allowed to drift into the box unmarked, and it's only one ball in. It's just a corner. It's as simple as you like, but a free header.
I remember watching, I think we were in Denmark in the European Under-21 Championships when I first saw Thiago, so what, 9 years ago, and as you say, he's certainly diminutive at 5'5", but he's an excellent player, great technician of the ball. And you certainly wouldn't have... well, I bet he hasn't scored too many headers in his career. But he couldn't believe his luck, how he was unmarked, but his downward header in the end wasn't able to add a third goal for Bayern Munich. Midway through the second half, Bayern lead Chelsea by 2-1. But what about that point from before, Rob, about that Chelsea seem to be, when they do lose, they concede a number of goals?
Well, it's been a problem all season, hasn't it? And you'd say, well, what's your best formation at the back? And still not quite sure whether it's a 3 or a 4. They had that good run up to the cup final, playing 3 at the back, and then it going wrong in the final, and then tonight going to a 4, giving away goals. But it's been the same throughout the season. We talked about Valencia, we talked about the Ajax game where they lose control, and you're just looking at it thinking you need to take control of the games for longer.
Barkley's just been fouled here. Thiago was pleading with the referee, because if Thiago was shown a yellow card, he would then miss the game against Barcelona in the quarter-finals. He's very, very fortunate if he's got away without the yellow card. He just clipped the heels of Barkley, who was running forward on the edge of the area. And I don't think a yellow card was indeed shown, so Thiago, who will be facing his former side, has certainly escaped. He was one of 2 players sweating on a yellow peril, if you like, coming into this game. Joshua Kimmich is the other. So it's just, well, as the D on the left-hand side just arcs away to the edge of the penalty area, that's where the free kick has been awarded. So it's left of centre. Chelsea 2-1 down on the night, but going out as they trail 5-1 on aggregate, have this direct free kick, which Bayern Munich have got a wall. They've got, well, how many is that in the wall? They've got 5 in the wall. They've got Thiago and Davis either side. Barkley, James, Mason Mount are the likely takers for Chelsea. Bayern 2, Chelsea 1. Barkley's eyeing it up. Reece James is also there. Mason Mount is very, very square. It's going to be left to Barkley. Strikes the top of the wall. Comes out to Kante on that far side, the right. He lets it run out of play for a throw, level with the penalty area. Bayern are going to be making a couple of changes as well very, very soon.
Ross will be frustrated there. He loves practicing free kicks, getting the ball in there. He'll keep you out there all day if he could, firing goals. Turn to you and say, just one more, Rob, just one more. I've had enough, thanks, Ross. I want to go in.
Who are the players coming off? In fact, it's the 2 players, I think, who are on yellow cards, Kimmich and Thiago. Thiago very, very fortunate, I think, to avoid that yellow card. So Odriozola will replace Kimmich, and I think Tolisso is going to replace Thiago in the centre of midfield. So again, Hansi Flick, good game management and taking no chances after that lucky escape for Thiago, Rob.
Yeah, that was it. It was the warning he needed. Get them two off. They're safe. They've done their job. We're saying after an hour, you're looking at the next game. The job's done. Let's move on. Let's see my main players through, and that includes the guys who've booked. So, yeah, that was a fair call, and you called it.
So, Odriozola, Sula, Coutinho and Tolisso, 4 substitutes who are on the field of play at the minute. Frank Lampard yet to go with any reinforcements. He's got a number of youngsters on the bench, but he's going with his starting 11 as we have 19 minutes remaining of Bayern 2, Chelsea 1. And the one thing you can say about this Chelsea side is that, you know, the tie was over as soon as Lewandowski had scored that opening goal in 9 minutes from the penalty spot. Chelsea haven't capitulated. It was a chasing experience in the first leg, but they've battled away. They have shown a little bit of character here tonight, these players, as Caballero's ball out from the back has been picked up now by Bayern, and Coutinho with a dipping effort onto the roof of the net and a goal kick. Bayern still lead 2-1.
Yeah, Willy Caballero deciding there, letting the ball to run across his body. He's waiting for someone to come and get the ball, and it's just not on. We saw it last night with Courtois and Real Madrid. It's a really dangerous ball to play defender when it's not on. And there it drops to Coutinho, and I've had a first-hand experience of conceding goals against him from that sort of distance, and he can shoot from anywhere and shoot from in any angles there. So Willie's kind of watching it, hoping more than anything that he thinks it's going to go over. It's one that just drifts onto the top of the net, and thankfully for his sake it goes over.
Hudson-Odoi, nicely worked by Chelsea. Emerson will keep the ball in play on the left-hand side as Chelsea in their royal blue shirts play from right to left. Barkley trying to wriggle free, couldn't get the shot away. James with the first-time effort, hit it seemed with the outside of his right foot and just over the top of the crossbar by a matter of inches. Goal kick, Bayern 2, Chelsea 1.
Yeah, it's that running behind the Bayern Munich back four. Just go for the run, just ask the question, and it was Emerson this time doing it. Ross gets his feet out, he gets the ball out of his feet, decides not to shoot. Reece James, I mean, the outside of your boot from 30 yards against one of the best keepers in the world, it's going to have to be something special, and for him it wasn't. I mean, we've seen him score spectacular goals, Reece James, last season at Wigan and this season for Chelsea, but I think it's going to be something extraordinary from there.
Here is Emerson with 17 minutes remaining. Hudson-Odoi, Kovacic with the shot, charged down by Zula, spins away and out for a corner kick to Chelsea. When we were in the Mestalla, we saw Kovacic score what was his first goal in 121 appearances. He's since added to that. He's only popped up with 2 goals in his Chelsea career as he nears the 100 mark in terms of appearances, as it's Bayern 2, Chelsea 1, and Chelsea have a corner kick. There is plenty of red shirts back to defend the corner kick that's going to be taken over on that far side. It's an away swinger, headed away by Lewandowski. Kovacic will get there first. He's being tracked by Davis on this near side. Emerson is the last line of defence for Chelsea on the edge of his penalty area. Kante's with him, back with the left back in a central area. Kovacic makes himself available on the near side, the left, as Kovacic to Christensen. Kovacic forward, Reece James outside the centre circle, back to Christensen, forward it goes. Mason Mount finds James. Chelsea patiently playing the ball forward over the head of Ross Barkley, and it'll be Alphonso Davies who will clear for Bayern Munich, and now Gnabry caught, and that will be out of play. It goes. Bayern 2, Chelsea 1.
It's good intent from the Chelsea players. We talked about the reaction from the early goal, and when they played the ball quick and they played the ball with real intent, they can get through this Bayern Munich press, and they're threatening because they put the runs in behind it. You know, I think that just that little bit of quality in the final third, that's sometimes that they've lacked, but you know, that intent to play has been good.
Coutinho was a lazy little dink ball out towards the left-hand side, and Bayern Munich have added a third and it was Tolisso, the substitute, who couldn't miss from close range as Bayern Munich lead Chelsea 3-1 on the night, 6-1 on aggregate, and the German champions are breezing their way through to the quarter-finals of the Champions League.
Well, Thomas Müller missed an earlier opportunity, very, very similar, and it was just Coutinho finding a bit of space, 30 yards out, and it's a ball into the box, a simple ball, and it's Tolisso who's unmarked. The two Chelsea centre-halves have gone beyond the near post. Emerson at the far post with a gaping hole in the middle of the goal just for Tolisso to run into, and it's a volley finish that gives Willy Caballero no chance. But the communication there that allows the Chelsea back three at the time to get dragged out of position creates that space, and that's such a disappointing goal. I think it's a tired goal that they've conceded there.
There have been a number of occasions though tonight, and the Thiago downward header was one. I think there was another instance in the first half where the Bayern Munich have had players who've not been picked up. You know, at this level of football, you can't afford to be so slack at the back, can you?
Well, you've got to mark the goal. There's sometimes where you've just got to, as centre-halves, you've got to stand in the middle of the goal. You know, there are stats that have been shown to me that the number of goals that are scored from crosses are in the middle of the goal. You defend the goal, the players will come to you. You know, and yes, you've got to mark the man, but you've got to be in the right place. And both centre-halves got dragged beyond the near post there. And if you leave that sort of gap, you've got the quality of players, you're asking for trouble.
Well, Bayern Munich, we know how ruthless they are, and over the two legs there has been that gulfing class between Bayern and Chelsea, and it certainly is reflected in the aggregate scoreline. Bayern 6, Chelsea 1. It came at a time when Chelsea were going forward at the other end, because Bayern Munich haven't really created too much in the second half. But Tolisso, the substitute, coming off the bench, and in fact he hasn't played since the restart, but he's scored off the bench with his fourth goal of this campaign for Bayern Munich. Bayern 3, Chelsea 1.
I think they've just taken the foot off the gas in the second half, haven't they? They've been happy to defend a little bit deeper, not press as often as they had done in the first half. They've done the job, and now with some impact of the substitutes, probably wanting to prove a point, Coutinho and Tolisso being involved in the goal, then, you know, the fresh legs makes a difference.
Conserving their energy with the substitutions that they've made, because they'll be playing Barcelona in the last 8. Manchester City, Lyon, Leipzig, Atletico, Barcelona, Bayern, Atalanta against Paris Saint-Germain. And that, in fact, will be the first of the quarter-finals on Wednesday. Before that, next week on 5 Live, the Europa League quarter-finals involves Manchester United and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Manchester United taking on Copenhagen, and then Wolves on the Tuesday night against Sevilla. Both games on BBC Radio 5 Live. Barkley to Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi running forward into the penalty area, cuts inside now. Shot charged down. Goretzka will deal with this, brings it under control, deep inside his own half, and right-footed. Headed, though, back by Kante. Mason Mount, 25 yards out from goal. Reece James will hit it. The referee might have gotten his way, but he still managed to get the shot goal-bound, but it was saved by Manuel Neuer. And just over 10 minutes remain, Rob Green. And for Chelsea, this has been a steep learning curve, as well, they've got a couple of players on the Bayern bench who were in the Chelsea academy. Arun Bai, who's 17-year-old, a central defender, and also Jamal Musiala, who spent time at the Southampton academy before a number of years at Chelsea before he left last summer. He's a 17-year-old forward, and in fact was the youngest Bayern player to play in the Bundesliga when he made his debut against Freiburg, but they will not be getting an opportunity for a run out against the club that they featured in the academy at Cobham, because the sight of Javi Martinez means that once again the fifth and final change to be made from Hansi Flick. We'll see more of a defensive change with Javi Martinez coming on to replace Serge Gnabry. who, with consider his 4 goals he scored against Spurs and the 2 against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, all 6 Champions League goals in London, he comes off, and Javi Martinez, with 10 minutes remaining, comes on to replace him. Rob Green.
I think Emerson will be pleased with that. He'll start, he doesn't have to chase him anymore. He's had a long evening, as has Tammy Abrahams, who's now coming off for Ollie Giroud. And yeah, you're looking at it and you're saying there's a big golfing class, but also just the organisation and the skill, the whole pace and power of this Bayern Munich team. It's just been so impressive. And I don't know about you, Dan, but having watched them tonight, it's hard not to see past them as favourites for the tournament.
Well, it is certainly going to be a very tough draw in this half when you consider that Manchester City looks so strong and so impressive against Lyon. They will play on Saturday night, but you've got Bayern against Barcelona, and it's going to be very interesting in that half of the draw. Mind you, Atalanta, in many ways, are the dark horses of the Champions League. They could be this year's equivalent of last season's Ajax, because they've gone under the radar. They'll take on Paris Saint-Germain, and you wouldn't be surprised if they were to produce a bit of an upset. Bayern 3, Chelsea 1 is the latest score.
You take into account the one-game format in this tournament now after these games, that you're looking at it and you're saying, well, could make a real difference.
Here is Lewandowski twisting and turning right-hand side of the penalty area, and he wins a corner for Bayern Munich. 8 minutes remain of normal time. Bayern Munich 3, Chelsea 1. Don't forget, tomorrow night on 5 Live, I think it's on Sports Extra tonight, the coverage from midnight, but the USPGA coverage tomorrow night on 5 Live from 10 o'clock tomorrow night. And as I mentioned, on Monday night and Tuesday we've got the Europa League quarter-finals. As the corner's taken short on the right-hand side, Bayern Munich, Zula, drill horse built by the goalkeeper. He caught that very well, Zula, the central defender. Right-footed, was travelling just above knee height, and Caballero just pushed the ball away, and eventually with the outstretched right leg, Zuma will clear it away, and Bayern Munich were very close to a 4th goal.
It's an incredible strike, wasn't it? It looked like it's just a centre-half running up to it, and as a goalkeeper you just think, oh, OK, have a go, but wow, what a strike.
Spooned away by Caballero. Odriozola, downward header, and Robert Lewandowski is at it again as he bags a brace, and Bayern Munich now lead Chelsea by 4 goals to 1. It's a rout. They have dispatched Chelsea in this last 16 tie, and Lewandowski is some player with his 53rd goal of this incredible campaign.
It's a brilliant goal, a real centre-forwards goal. We're talking about the interchanging of the front 4 of Bayern Munich, and it's Lewandowski who's drifted out way beyond Reece James on the far left-hand side of the pitch, and it was Odriozola breaking down the right, who just hangs the ball up at the far post, and he comes charging in from the back post, a downward header back across goal. A classic centre-forwards goal, a wonderful header, and we were coming up with the stats before, and he's getting closer to that record now, isn't he?
He certainly is. That takes his tally to 13. He's 13 in 7 matches. He's within 4 of Cristiano Ronaldo's Champions League record. And you think a quarter-final, maybe a semi, who knows? The final itself, Bayern Munich, certainly, well, and also 53 goals. I mean, his record, you look at his record, only Gerd Müller has scored more goals for Bayern Munich than Lewandowski. 25 in his first season, that's decent. 42 in his next, you'd take that. Improves it, 43. Slight dip with 41. He'd be disappointed. He's going on the downward trajectory with 40. And you're thinking, oh, he's passed it.
He's finished with 40.
And then all of a sudden he goes and hits a half-century. We talked before about England's cricketers. I mean, I tell you what, with a batting average of, you'd take that, wouldn't you? 25, 42, 43, 41. England, by the way, won by 3 wickets in that first test against Pakistan. They were set 277 to win, and it was they won that earlier on. It was a fight back. that it was a good fight back by England earlier on, and we brought that to you on BBC Radio 5 Live. So Bayern 4, Chelsea 1. Just about 4 minutes remaining of normal time. And Oakes and Butler it was in the runs there. And of course you can get all the reaction on the TMS podcast. Download that from the usual sources. Mason Mount just reacting a little bit angrily there to a challenge from Zula for Chelsea. Well, and have gone now, not won any of their last 10 matches in Champions League knockout matches since Paris Saint-Germain in 2014. There is still a long way to go for this Chelsea side to get back to the level where they have been previously.
Yeah, and Frank used the word that managers used, didn't he, last week after the cup final, transition. And this Chelsea team and the Chelsea club have been in transition. It became detached away from the fans, and the way the identity of the club had been over the last few years, and it culminated in last season, where the manager in Micro Sarri had no real affiliation or affinity with the fans. And now they've got a manager who they love him as a player, they love the way the team plays, but with the loss of Eden Hazard and just a loss of certain players within the club and not replacing them, you're looking at certain areas now where they're looking at you saying, well, we need key players in key positions, and it's a short window this, and whether they can recruit them will be another matter.
Barkley just gets there before Goretzka. He feeds it to the feet of Hudson-Odoi. Couldn't get a sight of goal. In the end, he did it a little bit inside the penalty area, and Bayern Munich had enough red shirts back to deal with that. Now the ball is hit up towards Lewandowski. That was a delightful first-time touch, laying it off to Muller coming forward on the halfway line. When Chelsea lost 3-0 at Stamford Bridge to Bayern Munich, it was they inflicted Chelsea's heaviest home defeat in UEFA competition. One more goal for Bayern Munich tonight would be the joint heaviest away defeat. It would match the 5-1 defeat they once suffered against Barcelona. I suggest that there's a lot to ponder for Frank Lampard, but sometimes as well, you can think about defeating the FA Cup final a week ago, heavy defeat against Bayern Munich, and sometimes you can lose perspective of what still, I would guess, has been an encouraging first season for Frank Lampard. The fact that they did make it to the knockout stages of the Champions League, they have qualified for the top four. Not many people would have given them hope of that, and they have, recruited. They're looking to still add further players for next season, with not acknowledging there is still room and direction where Chelsea need to go.
There'll be more positives. There are more positives than there are negatives, I think, over the season. I think you look at it, and I think, like you're saying, yes, it ends in a bit of a damp note, a bit of a sour note with the cup final and tonight's heavy defeat. But looking at it, and as you say, they're games they might not have been playing. The season might have been over against Wolves, having finished in fourth position for the Champions League, and saying what a great season. But actually, they've come up against a wonderful Bayern Munich team, and had a difficult cup final where it went against them, and you look at that and say, well, those might have been games where they didn't have any right to be there, but they did well to get there. So yes, there's positives out the season, but there are still question marks about this Chelsea team, and Frank knows that there's still work to be done, and it is a work in progress.
Rob Green, who will know Frank Lampard very, very well from his time with the England setup. Of course, they were at the World Cup together in South Africa in 2010. We're inside the last 60 seconds of normal time. Bayern Munich leading Chelsea by 4-1, and see how much added on time there will be. for Bayern 4, Chelsea 1, but as Rob quite rightly says, this is a Bayern Munich side that has certainly served its intentions of going all the way. They will be one of the teams to stop, mind you. Not the royal blue of Chelsea, but the sky blue of Manchester City would also fit into that category. 2 minutes of added on time, which we're now into on BBC Radio 5 Live. We're with you through until 10:30 on this Saturday evening. Bayern 4, Chelsea 1. They haven't had the same intensity as they did in the first half. They've made a number of changes, Bayern Munich, as Hansi Flick, who when they met in February was still the interim manager when he took over and took charge in November, but has since signed that new deal until 2023. And he's got this Bayern Munich side, well, it'll be extending their match-winning sequence to 18 games now, and that undefeated record goes to 27. When you think about the prospect of adding the Champions League to already the Bundesliga title, champions for a record 30th time, and the 20th cup success was in fact their 13th German double that Bayern Munich have secured this season. And it is certainly a fine side that we are witnessing in the traditional red of Bayern Munich. Odriozola forward, right hand side, another cross into the penalty area over the head of Reece James, taken away by Tolisso. Bayern Munich with Lewandowski to try and maybe bag a fourth hat-trick of this prolific campaign for the Pole. Müller, Goretzka, back to Müller. Goretzka's continued his run, it's chipped into the penalty area and picked up by Caballero. But at times in the second half, Chelsea seem to be doing okay, but the final whistle has sounded and it is a convincing win for Bayern Munich, who stroll through to the last 8 with a 4-1 success against Chelsea in the last 16 second leg, and they go through 7-1 on aggregate. Rob Green.
Yeah, convincing win, one that we were kind of expecting, and Bayern Munich with a lot more to play for with these games coming up in Lisbon. Just proving what a quality side they were, and the question marks that Chelsea have. There's positive notes out the game, but again, you know, masters of their own downfall with the opening goals. And looking at the two managers speaking here, one's going to be looking at, you know, a near future that's very, very, very positive and challenging at the top. Frank Lampard looking at a future where they're just trying to build towards getting to the top.
Chelsea's dreams came true in the Allianz Arena 8 years ago, but there is no fairy tale ending in 2020. Bayern Munich comfortably through for a last 8 date with Barcelona. Emma.
Yes, they are. We will get into this game in a moment. But first, let's find out how the other round of 16 game in the Champions League is going at Camp Nou. It's Barcelona against Napoli. The winner of this one will be Bayern's opponents in the quarter-finals. Rob Schofield is watching.
Yeah, 87 minutes gone, Emma. It's Barcelona 3, Napoli 1. Barca 4-2 up on aggregate and looking set for a 13th consecutive Champions League quarter-final. All 4 goals in the opening 45 minutes. Clement Lenglet with the first, a header from a corner. Lionel Messi then scored a brilliant second, riding challenges on a run inside the box. Knocked off the ball only to recover and find the far corner. Luis Suarez converted a spot kick after Messi had won a penalty late in the first half. There was actually even time for Lorenzo Insigne to score a penalty of his own for Napoli. A side note, VAR taking an absolute age for these decisions here tonight, taking quite a lot of the heat on social media. Napoli have given it a good go here on in the second half at the Nou Camp. They've actually had more possession, but it looks like with added time approaching, they are going to go out as they have done the last 2 previous times they've reached the last 16 stage. Barca set for the quarterfinals and Lisbon.
Rob, thank you. We will be talking more about that game after 10 o'clock tonight. We're going to be on air till 10:30 this evening, and we'll be back with Rob shortly for a full time from Camp Nou. But for now, let's talk a bit more about that game tonight at Allianz Arena. Bayern Munich through, beating Chelsea 7-1 on aggregate. Ultimately across the 2 legs. Our commentary team from the studio tonight, Ian Dennis and Rob Green. Gentlemen, some tweets coming in at 5 Live Sport. Steve says Chelsea's defence have no idea where the attackers are, no idea of positioning. They're forced to back passes. They don't know what to do. They all need replacing. Understandably, with the scoreline in mind, particularly, there's going to be some Chelsea fans that are a bit upset at how their season has ended. But is there any truth in that, do you think, Rob, or perhaps a little bit harsh?
Well, if they all need replacing, it's a big ask, isn't it? I mean, it's can they replace them? I think that it's no secret that they need players at the back. They need players of a high quality there, and they've been looking, but and Frank's not happy with it. But again, you do look at this Bayern Munich team, and sometimes you've got to give them credit that they ran them ragged at times, and the quality and the pace that they have, and it's so hard to explain for someone watching on TV. You say, well, why don't you just keep up with him? You can't. The guy's quicker than you. It's very difficult, and you get that for 90 minutes. It's so hard. But yes, there is a point in it that, you know, the communication in there, just seeing the replay of the Tolisso goal, that, you know, both Kurt Zouma and Christensen are outside the near post. It's a simple ball over their heads into an unmarked open goal. And those are the basic things that you're saying that you can avoid. And that's the difficulty that this Chelsea team have, that they haven't had an answer to this. Is it a back three? Is it a back four? They don't really particularly know yet. And I think that Frank needs to find the players that fit the system that he wants to play. He's done it with people like Timo Werner. He's done it with people like Ziyech. Can he do it at the back as well?
Paul says, turn on my TV. Literally, the first thing I see is more abysmal Chelsea defending for that third Bayern Munich goal. Deno, he then goes on to raise the point, they just won't win anything defending like they do. We touched on it there. They've done a lot of strengthening further up the pitch. But do you think there's something to be said in that? They do seriously need to look at personnel in that back line if they're looking at taking things a step further next season, despite the players they've already bought in.
Chelsea need to try and find a better balance. I think if you look at the Premier League this season, only Liverpool and Manchester City scored more going forward. Yet from a defensive point of view, they actually had, Chelsea, the worst defensive record of any side, finishing higher than 12th in the top flight. And particularly when you get to Europe and the Champions League, we saw how ruthless Bayern Munich have been. You're always going to come up short because you can't afford. I mean, the warning signs were there throughout the game, you know, about leaving players unmarked. And so when Tolisso came through, that wasn't the first time that it happened. You can't afford to be so slack because you will get punished. So not only in Europe, but also in the Premier League, Chelsea do need to address the defensive frailties that haven't been addressed in that first season for Frank Lampard.
Aaron, I think as well, you've got to look at it and you say, well, you're spending 80 million, I think it was, on Harry Maguire, and you're spending that sort of money on a centre-half. How many players can you bring in? There's a lot of noise about Ben Chilwell. Whether that comes off or not, I don't know. But you're looking at it saying, and Deno makes the point of balance, you also don't want a bloated squad. Frank doesn't want to be working with guys that are sat on the bench, sat not doing it, not in the squad. You don't want a squad of 30 players with, 10 players not doing anything, 15 players not being involved, that sort of thing. So there's a balance in that regard as well. With this game, we actually said pre-match that Chelsea really need an early goal to be in this. Unfortunately, it went the other way for them, didn't it? that early goal for Bayern, quite decisive. I think you saw that actually, Hansi Flick's reaction to the penalty, clenched his fist. It was like, job done. And you said yourself, it sort of shifted to performance then for Chelsea. So with that, what do you think they can take from this game tonight? They can do it, but they're doing it fleetingly at the moment. And they can play the football that they want to play. They've got the ability. It's can they do it consistently over 90 minutes? Now, can they defend is one question over 90 minutes, which is still hanging over the team. But can they play for 90 minutes? And we covered the game in Valencia, which was a real basketball match. It was end to end. And Dano talked again about the Ajax game, 4-4. You can't get through to the later stages of the Champions League, which they haven't done over the recent years, with these basketball style matches. You need to control games. You need to really boss games and work the opposition and control it. So that's something that they need to improve on as well. I think that there was glimpses of it there. There's glimpses of the quality. There's glimpses of the real intent. But at times you think, well, it was completely void as well.
Yeah. But also got a few more tweets coming in here. Robin, 7-1 on aggregate. Just a reminder, this is what Bayern did to Spurs in one game. Very true. Bayern are the kings of embarrassing London clubs. Deno, Wayne says, sign of the times that Neuer is now Bayern's weak link.
Yeah. Well, if he's a weakling, I mean, I know he made a mistake, but I'd still, what is he, 33? I mean... I think when you look at it, and it's quite a sobering scoreline for Chelsea to lose 7-1 over the two legs. But I think you've then got to also say this is a very special Bayern Munich side that we're seeing here. I mean, certainly they outclassed Chelsea in all departments in the first leg to win 3-0. They've got pace and abundance. They've got goals. They've got great movement. When everybody's fit. Goretzka's had his issues, but when he's fit, he'll be the first choice in the centre of midfield alongside Thiago. They are an excellent side, and they are quite rightly being lauded as one of the favourites for this year's competition. So, Chelsea will learn from this experience. Bearing in mind, as we said in the commentary, some people didn't give Chelsea much chance to get out of the group stages. So yes, they've come up short, and they've come up well short against a Bayern Munich side, but it's a very, very classy German champion side.
It certainly is. It's what makes them one of the favourites for the competition. Our studio commentary team tonight, Ian Dennis and Rob Green, will be back with you very shortly. Before we head to the news on 5 Live Sport, we can get the latest from the World Snooker Championship in Sheffield. Here's Jamie Broughton.
And Karen Wilson now leads Martin Gould by 10 frames to 1, 13 the target for a place in the quarterfinals against the defending champion Judd Trump, and Wilson back at the table again. On the other table, Barry Hawkins now leads the former champion Neil Robertson by 7 frames to 6. Earlier today, the 5-time winner Ronnie O'Sullivan finished tied at 8 frames all with Ding Junhui, and Jamie Clark was also 8-7 up against Anthony McGill. Both of those second-round matches finish tomorrow night.
And time to drop in once more with Rob Schofield, who's watching the other round of 16 game this evening, who will face Bayern in the quarterfinals. Barcelona against Napoli. What's the latest?
Full-time whistle's just gone, Emma, at the Nou Camp. Barcelona 3, Napoli 1. Barca progress 4-2 on aggregate. Goals from Clement Lenglet, Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez. Napoli got one back from Lorenzo Insigne from the spot just before the break. It's been a goalless second half, but Barca not at their best tonight, but they will be progressing. They'll need Leo Messi to be back on top form, and maybe a couple other players to help him out against Bayern Munich in Lisbon if they're to go beyond it. But they have reached a 13th consecutive Champions League quarter-final. The road ends here, though, for Napoli. It's finished Barcelona 3, Napoli 1.